Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. Happy Tuesday. I hope this finds everybody well. I hope you had a beautiful day, like I did. So I am going to, let's just see here. I am going to go on Facebook and see what's going on over there. Okay. Well, it's so good to see everybody. I hope that you are having a wonderful evening. Please say hello if you're here and you're joining us. It looks like a few people are popping on. So please say hi. I want to know who's out there. I want to see who's following me. Hold on one second, because when you all sign up for my course to work with me, I then get to know your names. So please don't just hide out. Um, Comments. Let's see there. Oh, Bunny. Hello, hello. It's great to see you. All right. So tonight I have a wonderful topic for everybody. I think this is so important. What to do if your avoidant ex wants to get back together with you. Hey, Suzanne, great to see you. So, what do you do? What do you do? So, let's talk first about what an avoidant is. Hi, Dee, great to see you. I think there's some new people on here tonight. So, let's talk about what an avoidant is. In attachment theory, there are three different kinds of attachment styles. There's anxious, avoidant, and secure. There's another one, which is an anxious avoidant, but those are the three primary ones. And so most of us have a predominant attachment style. You're either predominantly anxious, predominantly avoidant, or predominantly secure. And these attachment styles start very early in our early infancy and childhood. They start to shape depending on how responsive our parents are to our cries for help. So when we're infants and hi, Lisa Cohen and Anna, it's so great to see you both. So what starts to happen is in infancy, depending on our parents' response to our cries for help, we start to feel anxious, avoidant, or secure. And that can follow us all the way, or does follow us all the way through adulthood. Now, our subsequent romantic relationships can also affect our attachment style, but usually our early attachment style is formed from infancy, through childhood. And so the two that we're concerned most with right now are the anxious and avoidant attachment styles, and specifically the avoidant attachment style. So if you're coming on, please say hello. I'd love to know who's watching. I know some of you are coming on in the middle, but that's, I'd love to know who's out there. Just say hi in the chat, if you will. So as we grow up, many of us have either an anxious or an avoidant attachment style. Anxious people who are anxious tend to obsess. They're like, oh my God, why isn't he calling? When's he going to text? Did I say the right thing? Did I say the wrong thing? What do I do? Do I jump up and down and flip in circles? And, so anxious people overthink things. Should I text? Should I not text? They're constantly flip-flopping in their heads and second guessing themselves. They have a lot of anxiety when it comes to getting close to someone in a romantic relationship. So an avoidant is the opposite. They want relationships too, but every time, Beth McGee, hello, I got so many wonderful comments and responses from your interviews. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So just got to put a little note here. Okay. So what happens is, anxious people overthink. They have a lot of anxiety. When they get close to somebody, it brings up second guessing and nerves, and they never feel calm, right? And then an avoidant wants a relationship, but what will happen is once he starts to get close, and I say he because there are more anxious women and there are more avoidant men, although there are some of each, but predominantly avoidance are men. And what happens is the minute they start to get close to someone, the minute the intimacy gets real, the avoidant will pull away and they can't help themselves. This is very hard for those of us who long for attachments and really want them. It is very hard for us to understand. But what happens inside of an avoidant is when somebody tries to attach, they freak out. There's a switch inside of them that gets flipped and they pull away. They are scared to death of real intimacy. And, most of us think that, well, I'll just be loving and kind and patient and whatever. And this person will see that I'm safe and he loves me and he wants, a relationship. And so we think that we can change the avoidant. We can, pretzel ourselves into a different person or try to accommodate them so that they feel okay with us, so that they feel safe. But it's really sad because people who are true avoidants, um, when they pull away, when that switch gets flipped, there's nothing you can do. Nothing. People spend years and years and years of their lives in these relationships where there's this push pull or a roller coaster ride, some people say, but it's like back and forth, because what happens is you have this anxious person, right? And she wants to attach, and then you have this avoidant that pulls away. It's a knee jerk reaction. They're not even really fully aware that they do this. And so the avoidant pulls away, and then the anxious person, has no choice, right? They give them some space, they back off, whatever, they go on with their life. And then once the pressure is off, maybe after some time, the avoidant will start to feel calm again and the avoidant will start to come back. And then this cycle keeps repeating over and over and over and over again. And it's devastating. You have two people who are wounded and have insecure attachment styles who are trying to attach to each other. And it's devastating. We waste years and years and years of our lives in these relationships. And there's a foundational issue at the core that very, very few of these relationships will ever, that makes it impossible for these kinds of relationships to succeed. The anxious person is always wanting the avoidant person to feel safe and come around, and they can't. So, what do you do if your avoidant ex wants to get back with you? Because this is a big issue in anxious avoidant relationships. They're often on and off and on and off and on and off. How many? I'm kind of curious. Have any of you ever been in that kind of relationship, in an anxious avoidant relationship, where you felt like you were constantly, you'd come toward the other person and then they'd pull away and then they'd come back and, it would keep repeating? I know that almost every one of you who's listening tonight has been if you've been in relationships. Tyra, yay. Dee says almost always. Okay, who else? Come on, ladies. Come on, let's participate. Cindy, yes, yes, yes. Of course, right? We all do this stuff. Every single one of us has been in a relationship like this if we've been in one. I'm guessing that you've all done this. Yes, yes, with Mark, there you go. Yes, but I also feel that if I wasn't on that end, I'd be the avoidant one. It's very possible, Lori. Some people are anxious avoidant, but I can tell you that the reason why it's so rare is because most anxious avoidants are actually avoidants. They're not anxious avoidant. Lisa says he created distance with me by initiating an argument. They can do that. That's one way that avoidance work. So we've almost all of us have wasted time in these anxious avoidant relationships. And this really sucks because we are in them and we so want them to work. And we're putting all this energy and effort into trying to make them work. And it just sucks because no matter how hard we try, that pattern just keeps playing out over and over and over again, going out all the time. Would that be avoidant? Um, it can be, Bonnie. I mean, if he was distancing himself from you and not connecting with you emotionally, and you felt emotionally disconnected, he was probably avoidant, and especially if he was leaving all the time. Yeah. So I used to be avoidant. And yes, if I was in a relationship with an avoidant, I would tend to be anxious. But most of the time, I was predominantly avoidant, which is unusual for women, but I was. Um, and it's a really, 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 being on the side of an avoidant and really understanding the psychology. I can tell you that I couldn't stop myself from what I was doing. I wasn't conscious. These were knee-jerk reactions to intimacy and closeness and relationship. And I didn't even understand what was going on inside of me. I wanted it. Yeah, it is a curse to be an avoidant. Lisa's right. It's really painful because you know that you're cutting people off and you're hurting them and it hurts you and you're suffering and they're suffering, but you can't stop it. You cannot stop it. And so, um, yeah, it's just if for those of you who don't get it, it is so hard for some people to understand that avoidance cannot stop what they're doing. They're so afraid of intimacy. They're so afraid of closeness and intimacy and commitment that they just cannot stop themselves. And so what happens is we get we push the other person away. We can become judgmental and critical and blaming, and we will find fault with the other person, and then we'll push them away. We'll there's a saying in Landmark Forum that you make them wrong and you kill them off. I love that because it really is what I would do. I would just and it would be a very quick switch, and I would just flip and I turn. They could be my best friend one day, and the next day something would happen and they were toast. Hi, Natalie. And that was it. And I went through my whole life cutting people out of my life this way. Um, so then once it would happen and the dust would settle and some time would go by and I could look at things more objectively, I would start to feel remorse and regret for having cut this person out of my life. And so I would go back and I would try to reconcile with them. And usually, a lot of times, this was with girlfriends, not so much with boyfriends, but with my female friends, I would do this. And then I would go back, some time would go by. It could be a year or some years. And then I would feel badly and I'd go back and I'd try to reignite the friendship and something would happen again and it would fall apart. So this is what people do in relationships. If they're avoidant, they will push you away and then they will eventually try to come back. And this is, almost much of the time, not all of the time, but much of the time, because then they go and they get into another relationship and then they fantasize about you. This is something that avoidants do. And they'll compare the current person to you. Um, and then they'll want to go back to you. It's a really messed up thing. So then they want to come back into your life. I just got a message from a woman who went through my course. She was with an avoidant for quite a while during COVID, and then they broke up, or he broke up with her. And now he wants to come back and take it slowly. So this is a big issue because they're going to go right back through the same cycle. I promise. This same cycle is going to play out again. And um, sometimes people break up and get back together again. And it's maybe there was a big fight, or it was, they had differences, and they're not, it doesn't mean they're anxious and avoidant. But there are certain hallmark signs that somebody is avoidant. They make you wrong, they kill you off, they are blaming and mean, they don't take responsibility, and they do this hot and cold thing. They're in, they're out, and even the distancing can be in small ways while the relationship is going on. So there's a certain way, there are certain hallmark signs that a guy is avoidant. You can't change them unless they get therapy, unless they realize that they're, hi, Maria, good to see you. Unless they realize that they are the cause, that they're causing this, that there's something about them that is getting triggered and pushing you away, unless they get help, it's not going to change. So what'll happen is most of the time they'll just start feeling better, and then they'll come back and they'll tell you everything you want to hear. So remember love bombing? Like if you go back and you think about love bombing, well, that's what avoidants do. They usually love bomb. They come on super strong in the beginning, and then they start doing the hot and cold, and then they ghost you or the relationship ends. And then the pressure's off. They come back, and the ghosting part, not, I mean, so avoid the avoidant at all costs, Rachel, at all costs. So what will happen is that love bombing phase is when they come back again. They do a different kind of love bombing, but they tell you everything you've wanted to hear. It's me. I'm sorry. I looked at my behavior. It won't happen again. I see the error of my ways. I'm a changed man. And they want you back. And they're going to tell you all the things that you wanted to hear. What normally happens is you are going to feel cautious, right? Because this person hurt your heart and the trust has been broken. And so you're going to be very cautious about just getting back into something with them. But then there's this other part of you that's probably thinking, that wants reconciliation, that wants that happily ever after, and wants this thing to work out. And so what most people do is they will go back in, but now there's been a power shift, right? The power is now in your hands because he wants you back. And so what'll happen is there's a feeling of, okay, now I can set my boundaries. Now I can like make my demands on this guy, and I can sit back and see if he follows through, right? I'm not just going to jump in now that he wants me and he's coming back to me. So I'm going to put on the brakes. There's a problem with that. So when you put on the brakes and you go slowly, that's exactly what the avoidant wants. He wants to go slowly. He doesn't want pressure. He doesn't really want commitment or attachment. He wants you at a comfortable distance. And so that's exactly what the avoidant wants you to do. And if you do that, that will go along for a while until you start to want a commitment again, until you start to really attach and want to then move into a relationship, a commitment, and you start wanting to move things forward. That's when you're going to trigger his avoidant behavior again, and he's going to pull out. So what really needs to happen, and this is what I have my clients do when they're working with me, when they're in my 12-week emotionally naked dating coaching program, what I have them do is I have them get really excited and jump in. So instead of taking it slowly, they will say to the guy, "Oh my God, this is wonderful. I'm so excited. I can't wait to get back in. When can we see each other?" But really lay it on thick, like get excited and passionate and whatever. And most of the time, right there, that will trigger the avoidance behavior and make the avoidant pull away again. And that's how you'll be able to find out if this person is an avoidant, and it will tell you for sure that you want to get the heck out of this thing. So, one of my clients did this just a couple of months ago. She came into the course, broke up with a guy who was avoidant, didn't know that until she didn't know he was an avoidant until she started my course and started to learn about these things. And then she did the first month of the course where we don't date. And then he came back. Yeah, it's a brilliant strategy. Well, thank you, Tyra. It works. It just immediately puts the mirror up to the avoidance face, holds the mirror up to his face, and it triggers the avoidant behavior, and you have your answer. So she had this happen, and the guy came back, and she was like, "Lisa, he came back. What do I do? He seems like he really wants to, go forward." And I could tell that she was kind of excited. She was happy that he came back, and it was a relief for her. It's not just, um, there's a relief when these guys do come back, because it hurts so much and it doesn't make sense to us. And so when they come back, it feels like everything makes sense. Oh, okay, he just needed to go away. He just needed time to really understand. And he figured it out, and now it's going to be different. And it makes us feel better about things. But the truth is, it's never going to work. And so she was really excited, and she wanted to see where it went. And I invited her to try this out. And she came back on our next Q&A call and just said, "Oh my God." She was like, "You saved me so much agony with this guy. I would have gone back into this thing. I would have tried to make it work again. And oh my God, exactly what you said, Lisa. I laid it on. I got really excited." And she said the next day he called her up. It was brilliant. And he said, "I gave it some thought, and I realized I'm just not ready to have a relationship right now." That could have been months or even years of more time that this client could have invested in that, had she not been working with me. So that's what you do when avoidant X wants you back. You don't take it slowly. You don't feel like you're in the power position. You just lay it on thick and you say, "Wow, I'm so glad you're back. And this is wonderful. And yes, let's give it a go. And let's see where this thing goes. It sounds wonderful. I'm so excited." And you will see, if he pulls away again quickly, you have your answer. Run, run, run for the hills. All right, everybody. Any questions, any comments about what I just said? Has anybody been in a relationship like this where you wasted a lot of time, where my ex-husband, well, we don't need to go there. Let's hear from some of you. Any questions? It doesn't even have to be on anxious avoidant relationships. It can be on anything related to dating and love and men and passion. I can talk to you about the fabulous tantra workshop I did over the weekend with my husband. So Tara says, "Used to be, I mentioned it last." um, okay. Tara, I'm not 100% sure. I mentioned it last. I'm not fully sure what your message means, but I'll go to Judy. "I've been talking to a man who seems really great, except for one thing. He apologizes for everything. Sorry I didn't text. Hope I'm not bothering you um, too much. It's really overboard. Just wondering if this is a red flag and how to address it. Well, it's insecurity, Judy. I mean, he's insecure. So he's apologizing and he feels like he's doing everything wrong. And it's not a behavior you can change. You may talk to him and just say, um, I noticed that you apologize quite frequently, and I'm curious what that's about. Yeah. So, um, um, yeah, so you just may want to mention it. You may just want to say, may I bring something to your attention? And then just say, I know I've noticed that you're constantly apologizing for yourself. And I was just curious, if you're aware that you do that. And then just see what he says. Tantra. I wondered if anyone was going to pick up on that. Yes, my husband and I did a wonderful, wonderful weekend tantra class with a fabulous teacher. I will tell you her name. I'm going to put it in the chat. She's really probably the best out there, to be honest. Her name is Dawn Cartwright. And for anybody who um, really wants to get, is struggling to get into her feminine and really wants to get in touch with her sexual energy and how to use that to create a certain, just a flow all throughout your life, not just your partnership, especially for women who are single. So, especially for women who are single, it is lovely to do tantra because she gets into self pleasuring and bringing uh, um, love making into your single life, which is really beautiful. She works with single women, and there were two couples, but there were also a lot of single women. And she was talking a lot about self pleasuring and just enjoying making love to yourself, which I thought was so beautiful. Um, I love how you compared Tantra with the services you have to offer. Well, Tantra is that she teaches Neo Tantra, which is a new Tantra. And it's really quite amazing. Um, oh, so Alicia says, hi, my boyfriend during the time I took your course last year broke up with me end of March. So painful, but I'm finally seeing this pattern and behavior for what it is. I'm working on myself. Think I'm seeing I have avoidant issues too. Like attracted, like I think. Thanks for all you do. Alicia, I'm sorry to hear that the two of you broke up. I really am. And, just in case, just FYI, we started a new course. If you want to know about it, you can always contact me. It's a little bit of a continuation course, but it's called SSW. And it would be terrific to have you in it if you want our support. So maybe this would be a great way, since you've done the course, just to get you moving forward faster. I can tell you one of the big mistakes that so many women make, and I know I did this too, although, um, I'm pretty much of a person who wants to just move forward fast. Uh, we spend too much time stuck in the problem and not focusing on the solution. There's a lot of therapy and even a lot of self-help work that we do that that we do a lot of self-help work, but it just keeps us focusing on the problem and on our past and trying to analyze and figure out what happened. And the truth is, what you're looking for is to move forward. So you want to look at what happened, but you don't want to keep staying in processing mode. So the difference between the work that I do and a lot of work that I see other coaches, therapists, and other people doing is that this is very solution oriented. This is a real solution. I'm not here to process your past for too long. I mean, it is a piece of the work I do, but a brief piece. And I'm here to give you a solution and move you forward. So, yeah, if you want to look into SSW, Alicia, or talk to me about it, please do. Um, SSW, Anna, stands for the Sisterhood of Self Actualized Women, SSW, the Sisterhood of Self Actualized Women. Natalie said, what about the opposite of avoidant attachment styles? That is to say, those with anxious attachment styles. So, Natalie, anxious attachment styles, overthink. I spoke about that a little bit at the beginning, but they're very, they have a lot of anxiety. Part of it is because they're so sensitive to fluctuations in the relationship, and there are a lot of them, a lot of fluctuations that are in the that happen when you're dealing with an avoidant, because they go hot and cold and hot and cold. And so because anxious people are very, very sensitive to fluctuations, um I can it's they it drives them nuts, and they're constantly on edge and overthinking things, and wondering, um wondering, is he in, is he out, does he like me, doesn't he like me, why is he pulling away, what did I do wrong? And so you're trying to figure out why this person's behavior is so, you're attuned to this erratic behavior of an avoidant, and it's crazy making. But it's also one of the reasons anxious and avoidance attract or are attracted to each other, is because um, these are very emotional relationships. They're volatile and they're emotional. And so what happens is, um, they cause a lot of stress hormones to be released, and ups and downs, and emotional turmoil. And so they're very hooky, and anxious avoidant people feed off the drama. They really, that there's a passion and aliveness that comes from all that drama. As much as we say we hate it and it's painful, that's what, like, the idea of makeup sex. We go through all of the pain so that we can get that momentary that fix of pleasure. So they're hooky. There's a big hook there that people, hook into. It's like sticking an electric plug into a socket. Um, so yeah, so anxious people are very, very tuned into those fluctuations in the behavior of the avoidant, and they're very erratic, and so the anxious person is always on edge. Now, if an anxious person is with an someone who is secure, it's not going to activate all of those emotions and those insecurities and all. And so it may feel boring to somebody who is anxious to be in a relationship with someone who's secure. And that's one of the things that we work on in my course, is helping people uh, who are anxious, or feel excited and look for different kinds of thrills from a secure person. So it's a bit of a mindset shift. You have to start looking and thinking of things that are more um yeah, you have to start looking at love in a whole new way to shift this. What you call love, right? You've got to be able to look at what you call love, how you describe love differently. So, a big shift for me when I was dating was when I sat back and I thought, I used to think that love was passionate and wild. And, I had this very immature idea of what love really is. And I remember I was doing a course and I was writing, and I just wrote love is, and I wrote love is kind and patient and forgiving. And, It would never intentionally hurt me. And it's reliable and it's safe. And I started writing a definition of love that I'd never felt before. And it was a total shift for me to stop looking for the excitement and I do have excitement and passion and all of those things in my relationship, but I also have those other pieces. And those were the ones that I had always been missing. I hadn't even been looking for them, so I never found them. So when you're with when an anxious person is really looking to shift her behavior, she may find secure men very boring in the beginning. And almost all of my clients will say when they meet their guy, they're like, oh my God, this person is so different than anyone I've ever dated before. They always start out that way. And then they go on to describe this guy, this secure man, but he's so different. And I would have never dated him if it hadn't been for your course. I hear that all the time. So come on, ladies, hit me with some more questions. What's up with you? You've got a bona fide love coach right here. You should all have some questions. People pay me a lot of money for this advice. Hit me up with some good stuff here. We need fodder for our discussion. What do you all want to know? What do you want to know about men and dating and love and having a guardian of your soul relationship? Is it even possible? Is it even possible? Do these relationships really even exist? I think they do. I think two giving, secure people. Did you know right away that your husband was the one? No, I didn't, because nobody has a crystal ball. Nobody. I can't see out into the future. And one of the great mistakes we all make when we are dating is thinking that, we know right away who someone is. We think that we know, but we don't. I had no clue. I knew that he was an exceptional human being, but did I know if we could bring our lives together, if we had enough in common to create a real relationship, if we wanted many of the same things? I had no idea if any of that stuff, if that was going to happen. I just knew that he was one of the finest people I'd ever met in my life. I looked in his eyes and I just saw kindness there. So that's what I knew, Cindy. And then, I just kept walking down that road with him. And it didn't take me very long. It didn't, but I didn't know right away. Now he went home, he took his profile down, and he felt that that he had met someone really special. He knew. So, but it's different for men than it is for women. And I encourage my women to take it slower. Um, So Clissy says, how does a relationship change after marriage? Does it? Tips for keeping the fires lit. It's great now. So Clissy, be guardians of each other's souls. And does it change after marriage? Many relationships do, because people take for granted what they have and they don't keep showing up for each other. They get caught up in other things. They have other priorities, work, children, whatever, and they take their partners for granted. And often they lose the connection. So it doesn't have to change after marriage. My husband and I had both done about 8 years of personal growth work before we met. So I had come out of a marriage and I had worked with a number of teachers and mentors and coaches and stuff. And so I was I was transformed. I was really in an incredible place in my life. And my husband had worked with a mentor and coach for 8 years as well. When we met, we were just ready. And we came in with almost no baggage because we'd been doing our work. And so we were able to create a relationship that wasn't based on need, it was based on mutual love and wanting to make each other happy and just wanting to have fun and, you know, create adventures and build a life together. And it's been that way since day one. We've never, ever, ever, ever veered from that. There's never been a moment where we've thought that we needed to see a therapist or that there were issues or problems because we just show up for each other. We love each other. So, how do you keep the fire lit? You really have to think about the quality of the love that you want to give your partner and be able to put yourself in his shoes and see the world from his eyes and not fight or argue, but, seek to understand, not to be right. Find that middle ground that works for both of you. Not give up yourself in the process. You have to take care of yourself. You have to have your own friends, your own interests. You have to keep yourself interesting for your partner. My partner is, Benjamin is very inspired by me. I created my coaching business. I turned it into $1 million business last year. He has supported me and loved me through this whole process. And so I, you know, just by being who I am and growing and always being on the cutting edge, he admires me, which is very sexy. And a simple thing is just to compliment each other, just to compliment each other every day, to say to yourself, I'm going to give my partner 3 wonderful acknowledgments or compliments every day. You're a wonderful father. You're such a great partner. You're an exemplary man. I don't know of many men who have as much as much integrity as you have. Things like that, Clissy. One of the great ways to compliment a man is to think about what he values. Does he love being a father? Does he take pride in his work? Does he have a hobby that he's really good at, a sport or something? And acknowledge those things about him, the things that matter to him, you know. So Lisa says, I've been in a relationship with my guy for 7 weeks. Should I ask him where he sees the relationship going? And if yes, when? We adore each other. So, Lisa, I do think that you need to ask. I do think you need to ask. It's very easy for men to go along in relationships when it's not defined. And sometimes defining it can put a container around it, and you have to see if he's comfortable with that. And so it sounds like you really adore each other and that it's gotten quite close. So maybe wait, till the 8 week mark and just say, we've been dating 8 weeks and it's, I think it's been magical. And I'd love to know where you see this going, and just sit back and hear what he has to say. So let's see here. We got some stuff. Did somebody put some stuff? Can you share a little more, Lisa, with the self growth work you did, books, meditation, etc.? So, Alicia, I found great coaches and mentors and programs that really that I love, that really helped. And I can't say, I'm always I am not the self-help junkie. I am the reluctant. I am the reluctant participant. I'm always in the back. I'm always like, hating it, like dragging myself through it. And I'm always glad when it's over that I did it. So I worked with Don Miguel Ruiz for many years in a wonderful community that I loved. It was just beautiful to be a part of that community. I still have lifelong friends from that. And I got my master's degree in spiritual psychology. I did a program called USM, University of Santa Monica. I don't think they still teach that program anymore, but it was fantastic. Um, I did Landmark Forum, which is a widely popular self help program. I only did the first two courses, but it was useful. You know, I understand why it's such a popular program. It's a little harsh for me, the way that they get you to break through is kind of harsh and confrontational, but it's effective if you're up for that. And I also was in a 12-step program. My dad was an alcoholic, and I had issues with food. And so I went for 4 years to a food program called CEA How. And I looked at my food stuff, but I also learned a lot of good life lessons and tools that I still use today. I think 12-step programs are genius. I really do. Especially the one that I attended, because we weren't able to, that, one of the tenets of the program was if you shared, it had to be something positive. So we weren't able to just sit there and feel sorry for ourselves. Um, Diana, what signs should you? And I don't see the rest of your message. Maybe it's further down. Um, Lisa said she'd not be in this beautiful relationship with the guardian of her soul had she not been coached by me. She had a tough case of avoidant attachment style. And, what's interesting was that Lisa had worked with some other coaches prior to working with me, and none of them really pinpointed this for her. And, I got in the trenches with her and held her feet to the fire so that she could get through this. I kept pointing it out to her, how she was exhibiting these behaviors. And it was transformational for her to have that mirroring, to have somebody looking over her shoulder and observing what she was doing and then saying, oh, that's an avoidant behavior. Look at that. Look at how you just pushed that guy away. You keep doing this, Lisa. I was able to observe and point out to her when and how she was doing this, which is, I think, a big part of what led to her transformation. Um, let's see here. Oh, there's Diana. Okay. I'll come back to that. I think there's a few more. No more kids. We are mid-50s. So that is great. Adventures in our plans. He is the guardian of me right now. That's wonderful, Clissy. That's just wonderful. I'm so happy for you. Hi, Catherine Paris. Good to see you. So, is there a way to change the concept that a wonderful relationship with a man is never going to happen for me? Do you cover this in your course? Yeah, Lori, you should get on a call with me. Honestly, I mean, if you don't want to work with me, don't work, after the call, I don't take any of it personally, but I do a free call. It's about an hour and a half, and we'll dig in and I'll really show you how I can help you get this solved. But yes, it can happen for you. One of the reasons right now you don't believe it can happen is because you can't find your own way out of this. You keep hurting yourself. You keep meeting with failure after failure, disappointment after disappointment, and you don't know how to break that cycle. That's what I show you how to do. One of the most empowering parts of my course is that there is a group component to this 12-week course. And the group is wonderful because you're in a group of other women who are just like you. They're beautiful, they're successful, they have everything they want except love. And so, just like you, they're struggling to figure this out. They've had bad relationships, heartbreaks. I have a woman who just, I think she spent over 30 years in two really bad marriages. Um, and she did my course. And in the sixth week of the course, she put up her profile. And 17 hours later, her guy wrote to her. And you're going to see other women who are just like you cracking the code by using what I teach them. So it's very empowering seeing these other women like Jane break through. And it's, you'll see it with your own two eyes and hear it with your own two ears. And you'll know that it's going to happen for you because you're using the same course, the same path, the same tools, and it'll happen. When you get to that point in the course, you're going to have similar, hopefully. Not everybody meets their person in those 12 weeks, but you'll see these women transforming, Lori, becoming empowered and secure and confident, and it's really beautiful. And you'll see their anxiety going away. Diana asked, what signs should you look for to know if you're dating an avoidant? I'm dating. I thought you wrote, I am a dating doctor. I'm like, what's that? Okay. I'm dating a doctor. I am the only one he's dating, but he's very laid back. He shows little initiative when planning dates, although he says how much he misses me and wants to see me. He's been traveling a lot. Don't know if this is avoidant or just clueless when it comes to dating. Well, there's a couple of things, Diana. One of the most, put avoidant attachment style and all of that aside, it's really important that you check in with yourself and ask yourself, how am I feeling in this relationship? How is this relationship making me feel? Do I feel important? Do I feel valued? Do I feel, like a second thought, like an afterthought? Do I feel like this man is really passionate about me? And is this how I want to feel in a relationship? It's important that you ask yourself that. And then, you want to, um, so that's the first thing. Like for me, I just started looking at how I was feeling in my, with these guys. And if I didn't feel good, if I didn't feel cared for, just because a guy is saying he misses you, he needs to show you. And if he's traveling a lot and, you feel like you're always sitting there waiting for him, you got to look at that too. So it's not always an issue of anxious or avoidant or secure. It can also just be that he's distracted, that he's not making you a priority, whatever it is. But it kind of sounds like, he's like he's busy with work and you're convenient for him. You kind of fit in to his life. And as long as you're willing to do that and not ask for more, it sounds like he's okay with it. So that's the impression I'm getting here. Anna said, I would love to take the course just for me. I have a boyfriend. Yeah, Anna, call me. Let's get on a call. There's no reason in the world that you and I can't talk. And this could make this not just a good relationship, but a phenomenal relationship. Also, my husband Benjamin now is doing all the Q&A calls with me. So you also get to see our dynamic and you get to talk to him about things. You get his opinion. Um, oh, thanks, Lisa, for putting that out there. Yeah, Lisa worked with 5 other love coaches before she worked with me. So, something to think about. Uh, let me see here. So, any other questions? We've got like a few just last minutes here. Anybody? Anybody have questions? Want to ask me anything about men, about dating, about the weather? We had a hailstorm over the weekend. And now I think it's like 90 degrees. This is such as the life of a former Los Angelino in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Anybody else want to know anything about love or dating or men or relationships? If I'm going to conclude this, I will tell you the most, if you take nothing away from this except this last piece, avoidant people should be avoided at all costs. It doesn't matter how much potential you see. It doesn't matter how good, how good it was in the beginning. None of that matters. When somebody starts going hot and cold and hot and cold and hot and cold, and you're on edge all the time and it doesn't feel good, don't stay. Do not stay. It's not worth it. You're not going to change this man. Um, Lisa says, if my guy doesn't have a vision for our relationship next week, when I ask him, how should I reply? Um, well, Lisa, I would go into this thinking that he's going to have a wonderful vision. I think he's going to have a wonderful vision. And if he doesn't, be authentic. I mean, I wouldn't, I would take a deep breath and, I would be calm and grounded. I wouldn't say I'm disappointed that you don't have a vision. But what I would say is, um, I would say, wow, I I'm surprised, I'm surprised by your response. And don't ask him, how do you feel? Ask him, what do you think? Remember that one, Lisa. So, what do you think about our future, or what do you see about the future of this relationship? But don't ask him, how do you feel about this relationship or about the future? So don't use the word feel. But honey, you have every reason to believe. You've done a lot of dating and a lot of work and all. I'd be very, very surprised if he didn't. But if he does, just say, wow, I'm so surprised by your answer. Can you tell me more? Okay. And just see if you can get him to open up. Just get him to open up and show him that you can be calm and that you can just listen. Um, Diane says, yes, I am strongly considering breaking up, and I already drafted a text. I do feel like I'm being treated like an afterthought and deserve better. I'd already raised the lack of initiative, and he said he would do better. Diane, I would say to you that a lot of this has to do with how you say things. So do be careful, because um, you don't want to shame a man, and say it, but you want to be very careful that when you do ask a man for something, you state it in the positive. So you say, what I would love is to see more initiative from you. That's a real turn on to me. Instead of saying, I wish you would show more initiative. So one is very optimistic and it sets him up to win, and the other is negative and makes him feel like he's failing. Beth said, I listened to many of your calls as I always learn things about better ways to relate to men. Thanks for all you do, Lisa. Oh, Beth, I adore you. You're welcome. All right, everybody, it's 6:00. I get to go. Yay. My husband's bringing home dinner. So I am very excited about that. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Please tell your friends to watch this. I do these every Tuesday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Thank you, Natalie. And we also have a Facebook Live, my husband and me. It's called Getting Inside the Right Male Mind. And that is a good one as well. Benjamin and I, you can see Benjamin and me there together and ask your questions and listen to us talk intimately and deeply about subjects that would be interesting both to women and men. And please give me the thumbs up and the hearts and the laugh signs if you want. No angry faces, please. But if you enjoy this, I love to see that. And I send love to everybody. Please watch out for those avoidants. If you're avoidant yourself, I can certainly help you with that. That's something I'm very, very good at. And please come back and see me again. All right, everybody. Hi, Paula. It's great to see you. I hope you're well. All right, everybody. Love to you all. And contact me if you want to cross Meet My Soulmate off your to do list. Bye bye.